Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm going to talk about 5 of my favorite apps for personal finance. If you're new to the channel, I completely changed my life the better part of 10 years ago when I downloaded a couple of apps that gave me visibility to my personal financial situation and where I actually was at in relation to the goals that I had for myself. I'd always said that I wanted to be a millionaire by the time that I was 30, and I realized that I was nowhere close to it because I finally got visible evidence of my financial picture. These apps not only helped me get visibility to my income, my money, my debts, my financial positions, they helped to actually motivate me because for the first time I actually had visibility to where I was at in relation to my goals. Like the old saying says, you can't hit what you can't see. It finally gave me visibility to where I was at, and it gave me the willpower to keep going. Fast forward to 10 years later, I've been able to build an amazing life that I'm immensely proud of, and I've been able to check off a lot of the personal finance boxes and goals that I always had for myself. If you're just getting started on your personal finance journey, or even if you have a lot of money sitting on the side and you're just looking to get a better handle on where it all sits, these apps can be some amazing stepping stones that can move you closer to the goals that you have for yourself. It's worth saying that every single app that I'm going to talk about here I've used to death. I've tested it against others available, and I'm convinced that it's the best one. That being said, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. What are some of your favorite apps? And before we jump into the full list, if you haven't already, why not subscribe to the channel? We've got some awesome videos coming up in the next couple weeks on some similar topics that I think that if you're interested in this video, you're really going to enjoy. So hit subscribe and hang out with us on the channel for future uploads. One last final disclaimer as well, this is not personal finance advice. Before you make any financial decisions, I'd encourage you to speak with a financial professional, not some guy with a beard on YouTube. Let's go. All right, so the first app on my list is actually the first app that I ever downloaded to my phone, and it's called Mint.com. Have you ever heard of another app called Personal Capital? It's very similar to Mint as well as Rocket Money, which is a new app that's similar to it that's recently come out. All of them essentially do the same thing, and I'd recommend all of them. Essentially, all it is a personal finance planner. It gives you complete visibility to all of your debts. It gives you complete visibility to any spending that you've done on your credit card, your 401k, essentially anything that ties into your net worth, student loans, you name it. It gives you the exact number of your personal net worth. Remember the first time that I downloaded this app, I was completely humbled. I thought that I'd been doing fairly well for myself at the time. And when I actually looked at my student loan debt and my income and my other assets, I realized that I had a very, very long way to go if I really wanted to hit the goals that I had for myself. The reason I have this app listed first is because it gives you visibility to where you're at in relation to your actual goals. And I think visibility is the single most important thing that you can have when it comes to your finances. I'm very, very grateful that I came across this app when it did, and that this app, it really existed, because essentially as soon as I got my first job out of school, this app was first released. It's kind of crazy to think of what might have happened if I never came across this app and I never actually got visibility to my finances. I'm sure that I'd be in a very different situation than I am now. All right, so app number 2 is an app called Acorns. Now this is definitely an app that's probably better for beginners versus advanced investors, but I love this because it really helps people that are afraid to get started or maybe don't have a lot of money to get started with investing. This is actually my first investment brokerage, and it was the first way that I actually started seeing the effects of investing my spare change. Essentially what Acorns does is it takes the spare change of the dollars that you spend on your bank card and it invests the extra cents at the end of the purchase. So as an example, let's say you buy something for 75 cents. What Acorns is going to do is it's going to take the remaining 25 cents of that dollar and it's going to invest it. Now, depending on how frequently you use your bank card, you're going to see these numbers actually start to add up quite quickly. I know for me personally, I typically make somewhere between 20 to 40 purchases per month. So it meant that every month I was actually investing a decent amount at a time where I really didn't have very much spare change at all. When I first started using Acorns, I was actually working 2 jobs. I was barely making ends meet. I could barely pay my rent, but I felt really good about myself because I was beginning to start investing, and I was starting to see the effects of what happens when you invest a little bit at a time. And it really got me started on my journey where I started ramping it up, and I said, okay, I've got Acorns going. Now let me try some other apps. Let me try investing a little bit more, $5 here, $10 there, $20 there. Maybe I can start going without things a little bit. Maybe I don't need to go out to happy hours frequently. Maybe I can dial that back and start investing those dollars. And really what ended up happening was Acorns helped me start building momentum in my financial picture. So if you're first getting started and you're thinking to yourself, geez, Dave, I've watched some of your other videos and I know you're this big, successful 7-figure entrepreneur. I'm nothing like you. I could never invest. Acorns is an amazing place to get started with, and it's exactly where I got started with when I had almost no money to my name. All right, so app number 3 is M1 Finance. Now, if you've ever heard of M1 Finance or Robinhood, essentially what this is it's a no-fee brokerage. I've watched some pretty extensive YouTube videos on investment brokerages, and I've definitely landed on the fact that I'm pretty sure that M1 is the best one out there. Feel free to let me know in the comments down below if you think there's other options out there, and I'm sure that other people watching this video would like to hear from you as well. That being said, I've researched this pretty extensively, and M1 is definitely one of the best finance apps for personal brokerages. This is a good place for somebody who's maybe a little bit beyond investing their spare change with something like Acorns, and they're looking to invest a little bit more of their dollars, but avoid a lot of the costly fees that are typically associated with your standard brokerages and trading fees. It's also a very intuitive, easy to use platform, and most importantly, it allows you to invest in something called fractional shares, which means it's easier to get into the market. You don't have to have as much capital up front, and you can really start trading on the platform, even if you might not have, say, hundreds of dollars to invest in shares like Tesla, Apple, or Google. So I definitely recommend taking a look at M1 or any of the other brokerages out there that have no fees. Now, I've done a fair bit of trading with M1, but the way I really prefer to trade is through something called Betterment. So the reason that I really like Betterment is because it's what's called a robo-advisor. Essentially what a robo-advisor does is it takes a lot of the guesswork and a lot of the friction out of investing. I've done a fair bit of investing through M1 and I have a sizable portfolio on the platform, but I really prefer to invest in a way that helps me borderline automate my way to success in my financial goals. So what Betterment does is it allows me to set up goals for myself, like buying the home actually that I'm sitting in right now was actually a goal of mine on Betterment. And it gives me complete visibility to how much money I'm setting aside every month and how close it's getting me to that goal, or what the timeline is going to be for me to hit the financial number that I need to achieve that goal. Through Betterment, I've been able to buy a house. I was able to buy a wedding ring. It's how I'll be paying for a wedding, all because of the goal planning and the financial goals that I set up in this app. Betterment does have a bigger fee than you might find on something like M1. To date, I've made tens of thousands of dollars in earnings from Betterment in returns, as well as dividends for my portfolio. And it's only cost me a couple $100 in maintenance fees for them to manage all of it for me. Essentially what Betterment does as well is it helps make financial choices through its robo-advisor features. Historically, if you wanted a personal financial planner or somebody to reallocate your shares for you and to make sure that your risk is being managed as the market changes, you would need to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in assets under management for a personal financial planner to take you as a client. I know this because when I first got my first six-figure job, I began contacting a lot of these financial planners. And although I was making six figures, I didn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars liquid at that time for them to manage for me, and they turned me away. So where I went was Betterment. Not only have I avoided paying much more fees at a much higher rate to those financial planners, it helped me make great financial choices, getting all of my money out of investments before the crisis in 2020. It helped me buy back in at rock bottom prices to maximize my earnings when prices hit rock bottom. This meant that I actually saved years off of my timeline for being able to buy the house that I'm sitting in right now, all because of Betterment. There's other platforms like it, like Wealthfront, and I can encourage you to check them out and see which one might be right for you. So the last app is one that's called You Need a Budget. Now what You Need a Budget does is it helps you actually set up budgets for yourself so that you can do what is called paying yourself first. This helps you allocate all of your money into a prescriptive budget that helps you achieve the financial goals that you have for yourself by the choices that you make every single day. Having a budget can be really difficult to manage because every purchase that you make gives and takes away from your budget pile. And it's difficult at any given time to know what the purchase you just made means that you have left. So what You Need a Budget does is it ties all of that together so that you can create a simple, easy budget to follow for yourself. Now, You Need a Budget isn't something I've been using as much recently, but when money was really, really tight for me, it made a massive difference in my life. And a lot of the financial choices that I made when I created my budget with You Need a Budget have paid dividends for me down the line. Even though I don't use the app every single day anymore, all of the processes, systems, and lessons that I learned from it continue to use every single day in all of my spending and all of my financial planning. None of what I have today would have been possible without the success that I had with my finances. And the reason that I was able to have that success was because of You Need a Budget. I'd highly recommend checking this app out if you're looking to get better visibility to where your money's going, what you should be spending your money on, and how to actually allocate your money so that you can have a little bit more money left over, pay yourself first, and begin investing for your financial future. So that's it. Those are my 5 favorite personal finance apps. Every single one of them I've used extensively. They've all added up to the life that I've been able to achieve and the life that I have now. We live in such an amazing time where apps like this exist that we can simply just download to our phone, begin using, and in a couple of minutes, be setting up goals and making changes in our financial choices that can pay dividends and change the entire future of our lives. I never realized when I first downloaded Mint.com on my iPhone way back in the day when I was just looking for cool apps to download, that I would start a whole finance journey for myself that would completely change the future of my entire life and my family's life. I'm curious, what apps do you like to use when it comes to your personal finances? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm obsessed with new apps, so I'd love to hear what you all are using to manage your finances, especially if I missed something. I hope this was helpful, and I'm going to throw up another video that's all about how you can actually begin investing. I'd recommend that you watch that one next if you're into any personal finance topics at all. Topics like this are things that we talk about on this channel all the time, so if you haven't already, drop a subscribe down below. We'd love to have you hang out with us in the next videos, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch. We'll see you in the next video.